Hey, Will, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. I really enjoyed your film and reading the Hollywood Reporter article in particular was quite inspiring, sort of a jumping off point about how your father is an architect, built your house, your brother is an architect as well too. You called yourself kind of the black sheep of the family, but looking around in your space and watching the movie, I've got to think that there's something that connects filmmaker to architect. Do you see building a film in a similar way?
Wow. I love this question. Yes. We were just on all those interviews for the house. Yes, absolutely. It's the same thing. It's very similar, especially as a writer, director, producer. It's the same thing as my brother and my father, who are architect builders. You have the same thing. You have the client, you have the studio. It's very similar. The dance between doing what you want to do and kind of making everyone feel good who's paying for it. But at the end of the day, after all that's been said and done, the house exists, the movie exists, and no one really cares about how it got there, which is kind of the fun part of it.
Hmm. I also saw too that your father kind of does some cameos in your movies as Lance Kerfuffle. Um, Primarily, this movie also I saw in the credits. There's another actor named Buckminster Kerfuffle, and Buckminster obviously isn't, probably a nod to Buckminster Fuller and the geodesic dome. So, uh, can you say who is it? Is it you? Is it your brother? I'm guessing it might be your brother.
No, well, first of all, well spotted. Um, no, so my dad is in all my movies and all my TV shows, and this was the first time ever that I was in it with him, and I've never appeared in anything only because the scene that he's in this movie, he's in a rowboat in the middle of the Thames, and it was freezing cold, pouring rain, and he had to go out there basically by himself, anchored, and we had to have a whole camera ship move away from him. And I said, he can't be out there by himself. So I went out there, and I was the other person in the rowboat with with the monitor in my feet, directing my dad in freezing cold rain. So I am, yes, Buckminster Fuller. Yes, and it is a nod to him.
Buckminster Kerfuffle, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so what does it bring for a film like this? I'm also reading about how you station yourself and the whole family in Australia when you're filming this. What does it feel like to be there? How does that inform the movie to be in that particular space?
Well, it's a little deeper than that. I mean, the reason why I did the Peter Rabbit movies was because I had kids, right? So I never like to go. I've never understood people that go off and do a family movie for their family and leave their family. I never quite understand that. So, part of the reason for me doing this is that they would come with me. So it was an incredible experience. My family all fell in love with Australia. My daughters go back there all the time now, even by themselves. One of them is there right now. So it really, if you, I'm a big believer, for me anyway, that making a movie or doing any project when you're home, wherever home is, which means to me and my family, makes for a much happier set.
Mhm. I was, of course, going to ask you particularly about David Oyelowo because he is, you know, a director now as well too. Worked on your film last. I was going to ask you if you saw it, but apparently you were at the Friends and Family screening, and on top of that, interviewed him. And I really enjoyed seeing that interplay, reading between the two of you. What did you like most about? You don't have that many sort of human actors in these movies. What did you like most about bringing him into the project? What did he bring to it?
He brought. I mean, he's an incredible actor. It was kind of tough for him to kind of come in halfway through, not halfway through, but a third of the way through this film. But also because it was the second film, all the other actors and the crew knew the craziness of how do you make one of these things. So he kind of came in here blind. But he's such a giving, open, fun guy, so talented that he immediately became part of the family. And as you can see, yes, we're all very close, and he fit in perfectly. And a big part of when I make movies, I kind of want to make sure that the actors and all the crew would fit into us. Boy, David is an incredible guy, an incredible filmmaker
Mm-hmm.
too.
What has it meant for you in terms of how, this movie was set to come out right at the cusp of when
Yeah,
everything started
right.
closing down? It seems to me, at least, that, you've had a very productive pandemic, that you've written two other projects. You're attached to a lot of them, directing. You've done producing work as well too. I'm enjoying watching that. To me, watching this movie is kind of like getting back into the language of cinema, and getting back to the cinema, because I've been mostly loading up on television, but following a film like this, how do you feel like sort of this pandemic time has deepened the movie a little bit?
Where did you see it? In the theater or at home?
I watched it at home. We don't have theaters open yet, but I tried to create it as big as I could to create the theatrical experience.
Where are you in Canada? Where are you?
In Toronto.
So Toronto's still not open yet, huh?
Not in terms of cinemas, no.
And my friends just flew in there to start filming in Toronto. Let's see. How has it deepened? I don't know. That's a good question. I am a big believer that people's hold on one second, sorry. I'm just getting this crazy. I hope it's not my daughter. Hold on. It's just a COVID alert. Don't worry about it. Another COVID alert. Remember those days when we were nervous about that stuff? I'm a big believer that people's cinema going habits have changed, and that I didn't think that way until about 3 or 4 months ago. And I think that you're going to go to the theater for different reasons and not as often. How does that change the way I make movies or TV shows? None, zero. I still really believe that. I've always believed, not that it's not true, it is a fact that 99% of the time that people watch one of our movies is at home. Even 10 years ago, we spent all this time mixing the movie and editing the movie and sound for the 1% of the movie's lifetime, and the rest of the time it's consumed at home. So the one thing I do like about movies, and one thing I hope continues, is that their length and their co-viewing ability. I believe that Peter Rabbit, which I loved about Peter Rabbit, is that during the pandemic, all of us watched movies and TV shows alone in our houses or apartments. Even when we with some, your kids are in another room, your spouse is in another room, your partner's in another room. So even though we were together, we weren't together, and there was no discussion about what we saw. So what I really want movies to be, whether you watch it in a theater or at home, is watch it with your family, so you can discuss it and talk about stuff that you shared experiences. That to me is the most valuable part of a movie, is not where you see it, not how big it is, not what it sounds like, but that you share it with somebody. And I think that's going to continue even if people watch it at home.
I've been so fascinated by your films. Have you found anything recently, perhaps, or what have been some of those works that have meant something to you as a viewer?
Well, one of my favorite movies we've seen in a long time is a movie called Nobody. Did you see that movie?
I don't believe I did.
It's Bob. It just came out like 3 months ago in the theaters.
Right. The Bob Odenkirk. No, I didn't see that one.
It's great. It's Bob Odenkirk, who we all know, and it is an action movie. It is a straight big action movie, but Bob Odenkirk's the star, and there's a knowingness to it because this is a 50-year-old guy who's doing it, and I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it because it didn't try to be anything different than it was. It was fantastic. They did it, and it was the knowing of a 50-year-old. It's not like Nick Cage is doing it and not admitting that he's 50 years old, right? It's Bob Odenkirk. So I just thought that was absolutely. I loved that movie recently. There's a TV show right now called Dave, which is my favorite show, my daughter's favorite show, which is a great co-viewing. It's a crazy co-viewing experience, but we absolutely love it. And those are all kind of offbeat things that you're not expecting. And both of those things, I can't imagine how they got made, because the stuff that gets made now is very the stuff that gets past the studios is very kind of in the box. And those two things were so far out of the box that I can't imagine how many miracles had to happen for they to get made. But that's the kind of stuff that I absolutely love.
Such a pleasure speaking with you, and I really enjoyed your film. I wish you the best from here. Thanks, Will.
Thanks a lot, Charles. Appreciate it.